how failure of the Buhari government to enforce court judgments is contributing to grand corruption and impunity in Nigeria. In his inaugural speech on May 29, 2015, President Muhammadu Buhari stated that, and I quote, "Insecurity, pervasive corruption, the hitherto unending and seemingly impossible fuel and power shortages are the immediate concerns," end of quote. He then made a clear promise that his government will tackle these challenges head-on. He also promised to ensure, quote, that there is responsible and accountable government at all levels of government in the country. The federal government will not fold its arms and close its eyes to what is going on in the states and local government, end of quote. In 2019, President Muhammadu Buhari once again promised that his government would, quote, intensify efforts in improving security, the economy, and fighting corruption, end of quote. Unfortunately, President Buhari's government has made little to no progress in fulfilling the promises made to Nigerians to fight grand corruption, end the impunity of perpetrators, respect the rule of law, and ensure access of socially and economically vulnerable Nigerians to basic public goods and services, such as quality education, healthcare, regular and uninterrupted power supply. The government's promise to fight corruption and end impunity imposes a moral and legal responsibility to protect the rule of law, ensure sustainable development, and full respect for Nigerians' constitutionally and internationally guaranteed human rights, as well as obey court judgments. The promises also impose a responsibility to ensure transparency and accountability at all levels of government. And that means that government and public officials should timely and consistently respond to freedom of information requests by Nigerians, including Serap.
What Serap has done, more than any civil rights organization in the country, is to promote through litigation, public interest litigation, the socio-economic rights of our people. So we filed the case in 2009, 2008, and won in the ECOWAS court. Because Nigeria, the government came to court and said, no, this right to education for every Nigerian child is guaranteed in Chapter 2 of the Constitution, the Nigerian Constitution, and therefore cannot be enforced. And the ECOWAS court said no. By virtue of Article 17 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, which Nigeria has not only ratified, but has also domesticated, this right is enforceable. That judgment was obtained in 2009. Even though the government has not complied with the judgment, or rather, because of the failure to comply with that judgment, by putting every child in school, today we have about 15 million children who should be in school but are roaming the streets. Not just in the states where counter-insurgency operations are being conducted. Even in a state like Lagos, I'm sure you know that when you drive on the roads, you see children, particularly young girls, hawking granite and all manners of goods. Those kids should be in school. So we now talk of out-of-school children. Nigeria has the highest population of out-of-school children. The children of the poor. Unfortunately, those who abandon the children of the poor are now in trouble. Because the children of the poor who were going around with begging for alms, with bows, are now being armed with AK-47. So, in other words, if the government had enforced the judgment obtained by Serap in the ECOWAS court, we might not be in this problem. What Serap has also done is to promote public accountability by taking on all regimes with respect to the claim that they are fighting corruption. Serap has obtained a judgment that directed or ordered all regimes since 1999 to account for the public fund that has been recovered. When one of the heads of state, former heads of state, was asked by the media, yes, you are asked to account for the money recovered under your government. So what are you doing about that? And he said the church who gave that judgment is stupid. A former head of state using such a foul language on a court, on a judge that has given a judgment in line with the Constitution. I'm sure you can guess who I'm talking about. The man in order. You know, only shake Obasanjo. Serap has also got a number of judgments compelling the government under the Freedom of Information Act to provide information about water supply, about electricity and the rest of them. So, we are indeed, and I'm honored and privileged to present the Serap Law Report to all of you. Please, can we give Serap a round of applause? It's a well-produced book, a law report, which is going to be circulated. And this publication could not have come at a more opportune time than now. Just last week or this week, the presidency disturbed by the regularity and the consistency with which Serap has been going to court suing the government to be accountable. The presidency has launched a venomous attack on Serap. How dare you dragging the government to court all the time? Who is funding you? Who is behind you harassing the government of Nigeria? But I said that in any country which claims to operate under the rule of law, it is a height of primitivity to challenge people for going to court. It's not acceptable. Even under the military, in the case of the military governor of Lagos State and Chief Emeka Ojukwu, the Supreme Court made the point that in any country where the rule of law operates, the rule of force is abandoned. Those anti-democratic forces in Abuja are asking Nigeria to clap for corruption and impunity. Don't challenge us in court, just clap for us. Even when we kill, like Lekki, just clap. And so we're not going to allow that because we are not a conquered people. The rickety democracy in town, people fought for it. And many of the beneficiaries were in bed with military dictators. They now say that you cannot challenge impunity. Those who demonstrated against the PDP now say, thou shalt not protest against the APC. But again, as I said, we want to thank Serap for putting together these judgments And henceforth, these judgments are made available to all of us. I do hope there will be an online edition of the law report, but henceforth, a Serap law report is going to be cited on a regular basis in our course when we are talking of the right to education, the right to public accountability, the right to transparency, and the right of Nigerians to live a life of dignity. Every Nigerian to live a life of dignity. Once again, I would like to commend Serap and to thank all of you for honoring the invitation of Serap. Thank you very much.
The law report, which was presented by Chief Femi Falana maintained that the failure of the Major General Muhammad Buhari's regime to obey judgment issued by the court erodes the citizens' trust in the judiciary.
And if anybody thinks the matter is ended, he's living in a fool's paradise. We are talking of the blood of people. The government can admit that 99 people were killed in Lagos. 99. And you say that is not massacre. What is it? So please don't be. There's this fixation about Lekki. We are talking of the killings between 20th and 24th in Lagos. 99 dead bodies were dumped in the morgue. We don't know whether others were buried secretly. Because in Zaria, in December 2015, the same Nigerian army shot at people, the Shiites, and they claimed that a whole general, the chief of army staff, I think now you're ambassador somewhere, was passing by, and there was a traffic, jam. So he couldn't move. So just as his boys to shoot at the Shiites. Hundreds were killed. But nobody knew where they were taken to. But in the Judicial Commission of Inquiry, set up by the government panel, just like the Ukuobi panel, everybody was flabbergasted when it was said 348 dead bodies were buried secretly in a mass grave in Nigeria. So without Serap and other organizations, by now, Nigeria would have become a slave camp. So we're not losing. We do much more. But I've made this clear, Serap and others. And let me say this to the media. There is no amount of public interest litigation that can stop impunity. But the guys in power have contempt for the rule of law. They have no wrong. In fact, they have contempt for our people. And because the most fundamental human right is the right to life. So if people are killed and they are not ashamed, they are not remorseful. If you kill 4 goats in a neighborhood, 4 goats in a neighborhood, they will think you should be taken to the mental home. But if you kill somebody's dog or a goat, you are likely to express concern. Because that may be the only source of income for the owner. So you will even feel remorseful and sympathy to now say, oh, they dumped 99 dead bodies and only 3 are traced to Lekki. 3 goats or 3 human beings. So, and that is what our country has become. So we must continue to work together. We must also know that no one is going to God. And that is why Serap and other bodies who are concerned, Serap and other bodies who want progress for our country must also get interested, must be involved politically. Unless the question of political power is taken up seriously, these guys are going to continue to recycle themselves to the detriment of all of us and the black race. Because Nigeria is so important in the world that if we fail to fix the problems of this country, black man is in trouble. That is why Serap must please try and show more than a passing interest in the politics of our country. Thank you very much.